but we've been doing it for a very long time, and everything sort of seems to link in. So there's always like some sort of amazing divine plan with everything. So we just seem to be in the right place with the right people, and here we are today. Fantastic. We've got an amazing group of people today. So today we're going to be talking about cymatics and hydroglyphs. Do you want to start anywhere with that?
Yep, we're going to do the hydroglyphs first. So what are hydroglyphs? This is one particular definition that's given by Veda, the water researcher. We'll speak more about her a bit later. And basically, she says that hydroglyphs are symbols in ice that can have more than one meaning. Now, the thing about these symbols is that water is communicating with us. Water has memory. And what Veda has found from her research, she's taken over 37,000 images of frozen crystals. We're hoping we can do a live for that later this morning. She's found that by writing certain words and then getting the same glyphs, this is the glyph of creation, and which looks like a tree of life. And consistently, any themes to do with creation, she will get this tree of life kind of pattern. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. Hang on a minute. Here's just a few water facts. 71% of the Earth's surface is covered in water. It depends on what stage of life you're at. You could have 60 to 70% of your body containing water. And this is an interesting one, particularly in light of Maria's conference, where we had the amazing Dr. Robert Temple here in this room, beginning of September, talking to us about plasma. So it's the only substance which exists as solid, liquid, gas, and someone's now discovered, Gerald Pollack is doing work on water as plasma. So this is really exciting. So it's the fourth phase of water. And of course, it's a great conductor of sound. Do you want to talk about this?
Right, so back in 2004, I was on this journey of doing things with vortex healing. I was a vortex healer. So I was on course after course after course because I really felt that it was important for me to do that. And Bea said, well, there's this course coming up for water healing. And she said, I'm going, do you want to come? And it was the same weekend as I was doing the vortex course. And I'd already done like 7 courses or something. So I thought, well, I want to do the vortex course. And she said, well, I'll just read out what she's going to be talking about and what she's going to be doing. And I went, well, I've got to go to this one instead. So it had to be a real pull to do this. And I'd never really thought of working with water until then. And we signed up for this course, and she's absolutely amazing teacher. And so we're going to put up a little bit about her work next, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, she's phenomenal. She's got like 5 different degrees in different water sciences, but she's also incredibly plugged into the cosmos. So she walks the world between science and also other worlds and other connections. And this was her book. Sadly, it doesn't seem to be in print anymore. But this is where she goes into. For her, the most important thing is to attend to our own waters. Because if we can actually, because water stores memory, whether it's positive or negative emotions, if we can actually do something about our own waters, we can also have quite an impact, as you'll see in a second. So all the energy we emit through these are basically some of the key nuggets of her philosophy and her research. So what she's saying is all energy we emit through our thoughts, emotions, words and actions, whether it's love or fear, anchors in the water matrix of our bodies. Within her book, she goes through all these etheric, well, they're waterways that exist between our chakras. Then she goes into a cosmology where these waterways actually connect through into the heavens, through the stars, And she talks about not only connecting with sea beings such as whales and dolphins, she talks about star whales, star dolphins. So it just takes everything to another level. Of course, the energy we emit also anchors in the planetary water matrix. One of the things that Giles's work has been doing, some fantastic work over the years, is infusing the song lines and the grids with love and peace. We're going to try something a little bit later as well with that. And it's very much the kind of thing that we're into. It's so important with the planet. So we affect the state of health of our planet as well as our own body. So those are like kind of the key nuggets of her work.
That's one point that I said to Bea, I actually would like you to put that at the end, because it's so important that we realise that everything that we do is creating a new level of reality on the planet. So if we can all be positive, then we can create a much better planet. And so, I mean, this is actually, it's in the water and it's in us. So every time we wake up in the morning and we set an intent that we're going to have a good day, and we're going to get up and go, right, this is something I'm going to do positive today, or I'm going to be really positive about this, or I'm going to create something brilliant and stuff, then that is going to anchor into the earth as well. It's going to affect your body, it's going to affect everything. And I completely forgot about it because we haven't read that book for nearly 18 years. So anyway, after we've been to that, we well, you start, because it was you that were already. So Bea was already into water before I even met her.
I mean, I can't to this day remember how I found out about Masaru Emoto's work, because this was the very first book that came out. And I remember when I received it, because I thought, oh my God, this book is going to change my life. And it was the very first one that it was both in Japanese and in English, and as soon as I opened it, I'm sure many of you are aware of Masaru Emoto's work and the extraordinary work he did with water crystals, and coming up with the most amazing geometries like this. And then...
So obviously... he's dead. But anyway, moving on, yeah. So obviously by the time we got to 2005 and we'd already been doing the water course and stuff, as soon as we found out Masaru Emoto was coming to London, we said, right, we're going. And we always like to try and get to places early and stuff so that we can really, get a good spot and connect with other people and things like that. So when we got there, we were in about the third row, something like that. And where was it?
That's St James's in Piccadilly in London. You probably know it, yeah.
So he said, would anybody like to take some pictures to send to them so that they could post, what had happened at the event and things like that. So lots of people put their hands up, and including me. So he said to me, right, okay, you do it. So he gave me his card and everything. And so I'm taking pictures, but we'll come back to the reason why things are round in a second. But if you look, wait a minute, there it is there.
Yep.
You might not be able to see it. You can see it on here, but you can't see it on there.
Stay out of the way of the laser pen.
Up here, if it works.
Yep.
Right. You still can't see it.
No, I can't see it
Anyway,
at the moment.
up here is an orb, up there is an orb. And there's
The whole image is just hundreds of orbs.
So I've been taking pictures of orbs since the day I bought a digital camera. So ever since then, I got upset because I couldn't take normal pictures. So I had to tell them to stop it. But this went on for quite a while. So as far as I'm concerned, they're the energy that wants to know what's going on, and they came to the room to watch it as well. So they wanted to go and see Masaru Emoto too. So if you go to the next one. Right.
So this is really what is the nugget of his kind of research, where he found that if you actually sent a positive intention, whether it was love or thank you, you would get these exquisite crystal forms using frozen water. However, if you actually said things like, I hate you, or even, you know, you make me sick is another one, that sort of thing, it would not form into crystals. And then I remember seeing that for the first time and thinking, oh my God, it's not just about other people. I'm saying this to myself. So what am I doing to the water, my own waters, because I'm saying I'm not good enough or whatever. So that was really a powerful light bulb moment. Now, Masaru Emoto worked within a laboratory. He had a team of people, and he was able to get these incredible crystals, but we'll show you some other work that's been doing. This one as well just blew me away. So this is water. It's in a dam before a Buddhist monk prayed to it. So he was chanting, and he was chanting his love and his thanks and his respect to the water. So this is before the prayer. He then, Masaru Emoto then took a sample afterwards, after the prayer was sung. That was the response. And this is why we keep banging on about sound being so important, whether it's words, whether it's actually chanting, whether it's singing, whatever. It's that intention that is so important and so transformative. Here he is again. And look, absolutely like twins now.
So that's Edward's
Been
red.
stalked, though, isn't it?
Yeah. So, well, the thing is that a lot of things happen, and we end up in places where nobody else seems to make it. And so I like to keep a record of to prove, because people don't believe you. They go, oh, well, you
And it's not Photoshop.
But you know, when you actually show people the evidence that you were actually there, then they can't sort of say, oh no, well that didn't happen. And so anyway, obviously he came to Bristol of all places, and did another event there. The science had moved on a little bit from there. But mostly it was very similar to the previous time, and I think that was the last tour he did, and I don't think he was alive much longer.
No.
Yeah.
So that's just
So that's what the event. And
absolutely
obviously
packed,
we were
you
in
know.
the front row, so.
yes.
Yeah.
You know us well, Norma.
Right. So moving on. After he passed, then the next person that we found out was actually doing any work with water was Veda. Well, Veda lives in New Zealand, and so she's been doing a lot of work, which I think Bea already mentioned, 37,000 photographs.
Over 9 years.
Over 9 years.
Yeah.
So she's been doing, massive amount of research, trying to hone down what are the meanings. What if you talk to water and water wants to express back to you, how do you do that? And so she would take thousands of pictures. So she would like have an intention or something that she wanted to get across to water, and then she didn't call it experiments, because she said it's more like a collaboration. It's more like you're working with the water, and the water will work with you. If you do it other ways, the water could decide I'm not working with you. So this was last Saturday. She came to England, and actually Eli asked if she would come and do this event or a similar event in Bristol, and so he couldn't book her. The only place that she actually did anything in the UK was at Devon Dowsers, and luckily Bea manages to track things down, whatever's going on anywhere in the UK, and booked us 2 tickets. So obviously we were there first before anybody else, and so we had a chat to her and everything. But she really wants to connect with the energy of people. So when we walked in, she literally gave us like a 5-minute hug.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful,
I mean,
beautiful
bear
woman.
in mind that she doesn't know people and stuff. So I was talking to her about, I said, well, when I've been at other people's events, so I sometimes get asked to take photographs, because I was talking about Masaru Emoto and how I ended up taking the photographs. And she said, well, why don't you do it here? So I ended up taking lots of pictures and things of you know, the groups and stuff like that. But obviously we haven't got all day to waste looking at pictures. So this is her actually doing live experiments, freezing water. So the first experiment that she wanted to do was to get like a baseline of what the water is like in the taps. So she put some tap water in, and then they had a little freezer, froze it, took a photograph of it, and then dropped it into her laptop and put it on the screen. She was amazed because the picture that she got was actually, it actually looked really good. And she said, well, this is almost similar to what I would get with water from a spring. And she was saying, well, this is really interesting. Why is it like that? So I mean, obviously she didn't have time to do research on it or anything like that, but we were in a religious building. It was in the middle of Exeter, so I mean, the energy of the space, the general area, wouldn't have been great. It was surrounded by shops and everything, but she said, well, it's either that or it's the group. So the actual group that had turned up we're all emanating energy. Everybody here has got their own vibration, their own energy that they're emanating, and that energy can affect the water.
Yeah. And what I really love about Veda's approach is she is all for sharing how she does this methodology. She's a busy mum. She's got 3 kids. She does all her research in the kitchen table, and she just wants to get the message out there because, like she's sort of saying, I'm not the guru. I've developed this relationship with water, and I'm trying to get as many other people to do it themselves to actually see what they can find. So I just can't tell you. I think she's probably one of the most important researchers on the planet right now. And she's just, in fact, the dog, you listen to the dog. She's just been talking at the water conference in Germany. So I'm really glad that she's getting the recognition she deserves. It's only the last couple of years I've become aware of her work, so, and that's her.
So that her picture was.
Oh dear. So, right, so I thought, so this week, I've been
Thursday.
Yeah, I've been busy trying
you collected the petri dishes that you need to. So
well,
she explains a little bit.
Shall I give the backstory first?
Go on then.
Yeah, a little back. Because I tried. No, it's quite interesting because I thought I tried tap water, good old Western water. I had some bottles of Chalice Well and White Spring water, but the thing is I collected them at Lammas, so that was a few months back. And then I thought, yeah, this is interesting. And then I suddenly thought, well, actually, what I want is like some living water because, I don't know, Don may know that where there are springs in Weston, I can't find like spring water. Probably have to go to Banwell or somewhere like that. So I thought, let's get some rain. We've had quite a bit of rain lately. There was a tub in the garden, and I just collected some of the rainwater. I wanted this as a control because with no intention, other than water, please show me what I need to know. So we were quite.
Say there was a leaf in there.
Yeah, there were leaves in the tub that had fallen from the trees. And you'll see, did you want to do your next bit then? And then I'll show the bit that you were going to say, or because this is the close-up.
So that picture we just showed you, this is the first one we did. So
can you see this fern-like shape? And it's sort of like a hexagon type shape. Now, so this is one of the hydroglyphs that Veda has identified. It's the living hydroglyph, and it's one that forms hexagons. The interesting thing is, Veda said if you use distilled water or you use tap water, normally you won't get things. But because I was collecting this from recent rainfall, it was showing these beautiful patterns.
So how she does that with how she manages to say that that's her description of living water, she has to get 50 images that show the same thing before she actually will accept that that is the meaning. So unless she's got 50 images, she won't put it as a meaning or anything.
So one of the things from Matsumoto, and we every year on the 25th of July, it's also known as the Mayan Day Out of Time, because it's the last day of the Mayan calendar before the new planetary year. And what we tend to do, we'll either do an event or we'll go out to bodies of water and we will give our love, thanks and respect to water. These are the key formula that Matsumoto shared with everybody. But we found that we've been doing this for years anyway. Anytime we cross the river Avon on the way up here, you know, we'll sing to the Avon, we'll sing to the sea, any bodies of water, whether it's a little stream, whatever. And it's giving our love and our thanks and respect to the water.
Yeah, so we've done that at places like the Chalice Well, and we've done group meditations there with people as well. And we've done things with water in this room, and also in other venues in Avebury with groups
so
of people.
What you see in the background there is the what actually happened when David and I just took the rainwater and we gave our love and our thanks and our respect to the water.
So we said it 3 times, which is what we always do. So we say love, thanks and respect to water. Water, we love you. Water, we thank you. Water, we respect you. We do that 3 times, and then we froze it. Now, so this is the image that we got, and that's a close-up of the middle, and we got a heart shape. Wow. And her glyph for love is a heart shape.
Yeah.
And so she had to get 50 images at least to show that that's what it meant. So literally this is Friday or Saturday? That's Friday.
Friday, yeah.
That's Friday. So we collected the Petri dishes. For
Eli, thanks for Eli.
Thursday, because we'd ordered Petri dishes, but we got the wrong type.
Yeah.
They were too small.
That's the other thing that
plastic. They've got to be glass.
Yeah, Veda's found that actually if you use glass, water is happier being within glass than within plastic, and so you get better results with that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So literally, we got them on Thursday.
Better check how we're doing for time. Actually,
you can join a group with Veda, and then you can post your pictures on there. And the group were amazed that we actually were getting images like that on the first day.
Yeah.
But obviously, we've been working intentionally with water for years. But that's not to say that any of you can't do the same thing. So what her intention is that people, actually do their own research, go out, do it yourself. The cost is a Petri dish, and I suppose improve it. So it is very easy to do, and we would recommend that as many people do it as possible.
So this is now the bake-off moment. Eli promised live, so we're going to see what happens. So some of the said rainwater, if we'd had more time, I would have loved to have got something from the Swallowhead Springs, although I don't know if it's actually back in flow at the moment. Yeah, I thought it might be. But anyway, so I thought bring some of this here. We have a Petri dish. So what she recommends is a 90mm Petri dish and 2 tablespoons for all of the water sample. Yep, dog likes that. What we're going to do is, and actually, Darren, it would be great if you could come down as well. If you could come down, and Giles. So, just want for those who don't know him, this is another fabulous speaker that will be speaking immediately after us, Darren Diagee. But he's also done a lot of work with sound as well. So, we've got Giles, we've got Darren, but we've also got all of you. And I was thinking about doing a group kind of tone so that we could actually really infuse this water sample. We're going to freeze. Handily, there's a chest freezer in the room. It's
set up by the universe.
It's a bit of an experiment because I'll probably have to. We don't know how long this freezer will freeze, but we'll try it. Certainly, by the time we finished our cymatics bit, it will be ready. So, it might be too ready, but we'll just see. Are there any particular things that you feel we should focus on or concentrate, or sounds?
I feel put on the spot now.
Oh, sorry, Darren. Yeah.
Well, we did the love earlier. I want to see a heart.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Okay.
Right. Do something else if you want.
Let's
Can we
send.
turn to this again then?
Yes.
To the R?
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to pop it in the free.
Listen to it.
Yeah, hello. So, right. So, we'll put it. Yeah, the trick. Whoops, a daisy. There we are. There we are. Perfect. All right. So, this is. You should have.
Depending on the temperature, it depends how long it needs to freeze. So
I'm going to set a timer.
What is it, about
5 minutes 20.
Yeah, it's around about 5 minutes.
Right.
Okay.
But what we'll do, whilst that's cooking, is we'll carry on with the rest of the presentation. We'll whiz through this. Cymatics comes from the Greek cyma, which means wave. And it's the study of visible effects of sound and vibration. And it probably goes back further in history than this. I mean, we have got, there are bits about Galileo and also a scientist called Hooke, who's actually discovered patterns which are made with sound. But it was Ernst Chladni who really decided one day to get a brass plate, put some fine powder. Apparently the pollen from the fern plant, the Lycopodium, makes a really good base for this. Took a violin bow and depending on the edges produced different sounds, and through these sounds produced all these different glyphs. Now I haven't seen it, the programme, but if any of you have seen the latest Lord of the Rings programme on Amazon, the introductory shots are all Chladni figures. It's pure cymatics. So it'll be interesting to see how what happens with the resurgence in cymatics. But it's really Hans Jenny's work, and he's known as the father of cymatics because he, for the first time, he invented what was called a tonoscope, and this not only dealt with powder and sand, he also experimented with different sounds through liquids as well. So he was discovering these most exquisite images. And I just had to dig out this because this is from the early 90s. In fact, the Cymatics book by Hans Jenny has now come out, 21st anniversary edition has only just come out. So Jeff Volk, who produced the Of Sound, Mind and Body video, has actually released it, and it's absolutely brilliant. So these are quite old now, but in terms of the actual history of cymatics, they're very important, because Hans Jenny not only measured and took photographs, he also did video. And so the videos do appear on that video, but I think you can get a DVD possibly now. But and certainly that Of Sound, Mind of Body really represents sound therapy as it was in the early 90s. Obviously, a lot has changed since then.
We went to see, we went to the Song of the Universe conference in London. It was a 2-day conference, and John Stuart Reid was there. We'd already met him before. In fact, we were staying in the same accommodation, so he had the next room for us. And so when he was doing his talk, I don't know if you can see it on there, but there's an orb there. Yeah. And he ended up actually talking about orbs a little bit. Anyway, we saw him before, which we're going to show an image of that in a minute. But so he was using a metal plate, the same sort of idea, and he was getting the he was asking like somebody to come up and do some sound, and then it would go on the screen. So he was doing it live, and so I'd already spoken to him before about orbs and things, because I photographed so many orbs and everything, which I was talking about earlier, because he sees sound as spheres. So if sound as it comes out of your, literally out of your mouth, it comes out as spheres, and then each sphere touches the next one and passes information to the next one. And so when I was talking about orbs, he was saying, well, that's another sort of set of spheres that are doing things and stuff. So I showed him some images, which we're not going to go through here, but I showed him some images that basically had an orb that followed me around the room, and when I got one of the photographs of it, it was so close to the camera that the camera reacts to how much light is in the room, and there's so much light came off the orb that it made everything else quite dark. So Bea was right back in the background, but the image was by a door frame, and there was a shadow on the door frame, which meant that cameras can actually see these things as being like solid objects. So if a camera can see it as a solid object, just because we can't, it's still, you know, it's still there. Anyway, so if we go on to the next one, so he got everybody to sing. And the microphone is there in the middle, and as they were singing, the image would change with the tone. So every time the tone would change a little bit, it would become like a shape, and then it would go into a bit of a mess again, and then another shape. So this is John in Santa Fe, and so we wanted to go to the International Sound Healing Conference, which is another massive story. We ended up going around the world from that. So he was one of the speakers there, and so we talked to him quite a lot during the conference and things. And he was talking about the hieroglyphs. So this is the sound bubble that we were talking about. Now the sound bubble is obviously 3D. So whenever he's taking like images of anything, you can only show it in 2D. So all you're getting is like a cross cut of what's going on. Now, how he got into this in the first place was he was already working with, he's an engineer and everything, but he went to the Great Pyramid. Now, when he went to the Great Pyramid, he went in and he thought, well, I'll go line the sarcophagus, which quite a few people seem to like doing that. I've been in 3 times. And so he led in their sarcophagus and started toning, and he was making all these different sounds. And he hit a sound that resonated the space. And he thought, well, this is really interesting. So what's going on when I'm lying in there making that sound? So he decided he would go back, get a special arrangement with the Egyptian authorities, and go in with all his sound equipment and actually start putting tones through the sarcophagus. So a corner of it's broken off, so he had to rebuild that, and he put like a bracket there and put stuff in to rebuild that corner. Put a membrane over the top and put sound in from underneath.
What's the sarcophagus?
What's the sarcophagus? Right, sorry, right. So, Great Pyramid in Egypt is very famous because most people know something about that anyway. But anyway, it's part of 3 pyramids that are at the centre of an area near Cairo. Inside, there's 3 chambers. There's one underneath. There's another one about a third of the way up, and there's another one above that. So the top one is known as the King's Chamber, and the King's Chamber has a sarcophagus in it made of granite come from Aswan, which is the other end of Egypt. So they had to bring that granite up, and it sits about this high, and basically it's a coffin. Or it looks like it's a
allegedly.
coffin in our view, in the West's view.
So it's like a table, a flat sort of...
No, it's
No,
not.
it's open.
It's open. You get inside it.
Okay.
So it's this high. You get inside it and lie down. I should have had a picture of it. So he was in there, made the sound and everything, and then he went back the next year, and he built the corner up, which was broken off, laid a membrane over the top, and put sound in from inside of it. So he put machines in, and every time you changed the tone, then he put like sand over the top, and the sand would make shapes, the same as what we're doing with everything else here. So they weren't interested, the authorities, because they thought he was a fool. But anyway, they got really interested when he started getting shapes that were used in Egypt. When they built the pyramid. Well, we don't know when they built the pyramids, but during the like Egyptian periods. So we'll show you what he got.
So this is on the membrane that he placed on top of the sarcophagus. So if you can imagine this open chamber, put the membrane on top, plug the sounds and the frequencies, and this is the kind of thing that came up. There were also some other ones, but we just wanted to give you an idea.
So we'll just focus on 2 of them. Right, so while he was there, he'd injured himself before, and he'd been to doctors and surgeons and everything, and nobody could do anything for him. He was in a lot of pain. 20 minutes after starting the work in the King's Chamber, all his pain had disappeared. He was healed. So he was healed by the space and sound, which then took him on this journey of what's going on. I want to know more about this and everything, and that's why he started doing all this research, because he wanted to know what was the sound doing, and also obviously what's so special about being in there. But obviously he can't take the Great Pyramid with him, so he has to just do this other research. So this is the machine that was built, and he collaborated with Eric Larson, who actually built the machine. So both of them were doing the same sort of research. Both of them wanted to have a machine that was as engineered as possible to be perfect, to create the perfect like glyph sort of sound. So every time they would put a tone through it, they would be able to see on the machine itself. So the tone is in
That one.
it comes up in this bit. So it's a flat membrane, and on the top is like sand, and so every time you put a different sound in, it moves. So this is the camera that he was using, which then went onto the projection screen. good if that would work. Anyway, so this is one example of what they were doing. So somebody playing a ditch, and then on the far right is the screen. So there's like about 150 people watching this. We're in the front row, as usual. Okay. So do you want to? Is there anything else you want to say? No. Right. So.
Shall I say?
Yeah, you say.
Yeah, so this was the same conference. This is Fabien Maman, who is another unacknowledged sound healer, probably one of the most important ones. In the 70s, he was doing research on sound and cancer cells. And because, as you well know, it is not popular to advertise things that can actually help eradicate cancer, particularly since the 1939 Cancer Act. That kind of research has been parked to one side. He's one of the most astounding sound healers working with sound and colour. But I thought I'd just mention that.
And Annalise is
his wife. So these are from different people using different types of machines.
So there's also an app that you can put on your phone.
Which we have.
Which we've got with us.
But we tried to actually link up. That was one thing we haven't been able to do today. So we tried doing it through Eli's iPad and also through our phone. But we're very happy to demonstrate what this is like on our phone. Where you can tone or do whatever you like.
So as you tone, obviously the sound is changing all the time. And then you can take a picture to get an image of what at that exact second it was like. So that's an image of me toning R, and that was B toning R. Sorry, me.
But no, it's both of us. That was the first one. Was both of us. Remember we tried that one?
Yeah, that's both of us. So that one's me toning R. The next one is Om, and then B doing R and on. So I think that's as far as we want to go.
Cyma, it's the Cyma app. You can get it on iPhone or Android. I should place the caveat, it's about 7 years old. So it doesn't work with some of the newer phones. I'm hoping that because of a renewed interest in cymatics, someone will actually, but this has actually been developed by Stuart Reid and his family. So it's come from, he wanted to actually get this stuff out there. But I'm just giving you the caveat. So it's not like you get other things on the market which are like sound visualizers, but what he's actually trying to do is show the sacred geometries of the different sounds. And you can set the different key. I know that Giles is passionate about tuning to 432. What we will do is, because we need to break, but we will provide the image later so you can see. But those of you at the front, very carefully, you can see.